The Imprint Margaret Root Brown reading series is proud to announce a night with two renowned poets, Jennifer Chang, who won the William Carlos Williams Award, and Naomi Shihab Nye, National Book Award finalist and former U.S. Young People's Poet Laureate. Hear them both live on March 3rd at the Alley Theater. Tickets are only $5 and free for students and seniors. There's also going to be a book sale thanks to Brazos Bookstore and a book signing where you can meet the authors. Visit imprint.org for more details. That's imprint.org. Today on CityCast Houston, Mardi Gras season is here and nothing says laissez-les bon temps roulé like Cajun food. And lucky for us, you don't have to leave Houston to enjoy everything from gumbo to jambalaya. Here to give me his top recommendations is Eric Sandler, editor at Culture Map and lifelong foodie. It's Wednesday, February 19th. I'm Rahil Ramzanali, and here's what Houston's talking about. Eric, I'm so pumped to talk to you about the best Cajun spots. But before we do that, can you help me break down something? What's the difference between Cajun food and Creole food?
Ooh, it's tricky. And I think I'm going to get myself in trouble if I answer incorrectly. I'm going to say that Cajun food is a little bit more like down home, outside of the city, out in the country, and that Creole food is more of a French influence, more of a fine dining kind of situation.
Yeah, to me, it's like all the same, right? It's just Gulf Coast cuisine at this point. It's all blended together. Is that fair?
I think that's fair. I think, we're going to talk about Cajun spots that are a little more casual. If you want Creole, Brennan's of Houston, Eunice, places like that.
Gotcha.
Very prominent for Creole. We're going to keep things a little more casual today.
Okay, so that's perfect. So let's jump into it. I think the number one thing when people think about Cajun food, the first thing that comes to mind is gumbo. Where is the best gumbo in Houston?
All right, Raheel, this may be a little bit off the board. I'm taking you down south, almost all the way to Kemah, to Viola and Agnes. This is this incredible Cajun, Creole, whatever you want to call it. It's a casual restaurant, but the gumbo is incredible. It's got a dark roux, an incredible depth of flavor, full of just fresh seafood. And I think what the chef does is he like uses a little bit of yesterday. We all know that day old gumbo is better than fresh gumbo.
Oh yeah.
And I think that it's like the same pot of gumbo. He just keeps refreshing it. And that's what makes it so just unbelievably tasty.
That dark roux just makes everything better, right? Like you can taste the days, months, the years sometimes of that roux. And it definitely is a game changer, and something that dark. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you'll remember it.
Yeah, it's got that kind of nutty quality almost from the way that the flour gets toasted into the fat and the spices. Yeah, it's this is worth the drive. Even as an interlooper, this is worth getting in the car and driving.
Okay, I love that one. All right, let's go to crawfish now, because that is the second thing that comes to mind is like, where are we going to get crawfish? And Eric, there are so many good places around the city. So I don't know how you're going to pick just one, but give me your best crawfish spot for us.
It's impossible to pick just one. I'm going to go with BB's Tex Orleans simply because I know Brooks Bassler. He's a Coug. He's a UH grad. He's built an incredible restaurant empire, and they are all over the city, and they are obsessed with sourcing the biggest, freshest Louisiana crawfish. And they always have a deal going, right? Like whether it's 5 pounds for $40 or, if you just check them out on social media, you'll see that they're always running some sort of special. They're affordable in a way that some of the other places aren't always quite so affordable.
And they're so spacious. Every location is so big. The patio is always popping, it feels like. The music is always good. Producer Carleon Jones, I swear, I think she lives at BB's. Like, she loves it. So it's just the vibe as well with the crawfish, which is important, by the way.
Yeah, the vibe is important. And also the accessibility is important. They're open for lunch, dinner, late night. If you don't like crawfish, they've got a huge menu, grillade and grits, po' boys, etouffee, everything you could possibly want.
Okay, BB's is a great pick. The next one is almost like an extension of this one, because when I think of crawfish, I think of Viet Cajun crawfish immediately. It's become one of the marquee dishes for our city. People come here just to get that Viet Cajun crawfish. So help me pick the best Viet Cajun restaurant.
Well, look, I mean, obviously, crawfish and noodles is the OG Viet Cajun spot. It is still great. They've had 2 locations. I think they're consolidating to just the location in Chinatown. And as much as I love crawfish and noodles, I also have to give a shout out to Crawfish Cafe because they have multiple locations all over the city. I know they just opened up down in Pearland. You'll find me at the Heights one on a pretty regular basis. They're out in Chinatown. They're up in the Woodlands, I think, too. And the crawfish that they do with the garlic butter and the Thai basil, it's obviously like rich and buttery as you expect Viet Cajun crawfish to be, but it also gets a little of that like herbal spice.
Yeah.
And it's just so, I mean, you just can't stop eating it.
I can't eat normal crawfish anymore. And I've had this conversation with one of our mutual friends, ESPN host John Granado. He is as Cajun as it gets. And I tell him, like, you got to try Viet Cajun crawfish. It is so much better than the OG crawfish because you get that garlic butter and Thai basil and other spices on top as well. And you get your normal crawfish. Like, you still can enjoy it, but he just does not budge.
You know, the Louisiana diehards are the Louisiana diehards. You can pry their traditional crawfish from their cold, dead hands. It's just not happening.
It's not going to happen. But that's the thing. Like, it started in New Orleans because of the Vietnamese population that lives there. They started Viet Cajun there. It's made its way to Houston, and it's become like one of our unofficial foods. That connection is so strong, that Louisiana-Houston connection.
Yeah, it's not a coincidence that these restaurants really took off after Hurricane Katrina when we had that influx of people moving here from New Orleans. And you're right. I mean, this is one of the signature cuisines that Houston is known for, as much as Texas barbecue or fajitas or anything else you care to name. You know, our Viet Cajun food is the best in the country.
Absolutely. All right, let's keep it moving. I want to get to jambalaya. This is a tough one because, in my opinion, this is one that restaurants mess up a lot. Like, it's kind of hard to nail a good jambalaya. Do you have a good one that is consistent all the time?
You know, I have to say I struggled with this because I don't eat a lot of jambalaya, but I thought that the safest thing to do would be to just go with the stone cold Houston classic. So give me Treebeards, you know, kind of the downtown lunch spot, but they have that location out Memorial that's also open for dinner. You know, I've been eating their red beans and rice, their shrimp etouffee, their jambalaya for something like 30 years.
Oh, wow.
And I think that kind of consistency really just says a lot about a restaurant. So give me Treebeards.
Why do you think jambalaya is so hard to nail on the restaurant scene?
Because I think rice is tricky to cook. I mean, like if you watch a lot of Beat Bobby Flay, he always loses on rice dishes. Like anytime he has to cook rice, because it requires just like a certain amount of like precision. And, you know, there's so much going on at a restaurant. I think it's just hard to be super consistent. It's the same reason that anyone who cooks risotto on Top Chef is doomed.
Yeah. Never pick a rice dish. I always say that too. I'm so glad you agree. It's impossible because your heat settings, your oven is different from where you normally cook. It's just, why are we cooking rice dishes on a competition?
And everybody has a slightly different definition for the level of doneness that they want.
Yes.
Yeah, don't make rice on competition cooking TV.
What sort of promises have you made to yourself this year? Maybe get in better shape or eat healthier, save more money, travel somewhere new. What about discovering a new culture by learning a new language? With Babbel, you can do that in just a few weeks. I'm CityCast CEO David Plotz, and I'm having such a good time learning Spanish on Babbel this year. I'm taking a trip to Mexico City in the spring, and Babbel is giving me the Spanish foundation that's going to make my trip so much better. Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons, handcrafted by more than 200 language experts, get you to begin speaking your new language in 3 weeks or at whatever pace you choose. And because conversing is the key to really understanding each other in a new language, Babbel is designed using practical, real-world conversations. And one way they do that is with their own podcasts. I'm a podcast listener. I'm guessing since you're listening to this podcast, you are too. And I have been getting ready for my Mexico City trip by listening to Babbel's conversational podcasts. There's a short conversation you listen to, then an instructor talks you through what happened, and then you listen again, and then you catch everything when you listen that second time. There's also a great read-along transcript, too, which I love. The one I did today was with Maria and Carmela trying to make dinner plans, but Carmela is so busy. She's way too busy with work and yoga, but finally they agreed on brunch on Saturday. Studies from Yale, Michigan State, and other universities continue to prove that Babbel works. One study found that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a full semester at college. So let's get more of you talking in a new language. Babbel is gifting CityCast listeners 60% off subscriptions at babbel.com/CityCast. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/CityCast. Spelled BABBEL.com/CityCast. Babbel.com/CityCast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
I can say to my new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, hey, find a keto-friendly restaurant nearby and text it to Beth and Steve. And it does, without me lifting a finger. So I can get in more squats anywhere I can. 1, 2, 3.
Will that be cash or credit?
Credit. 4.
Galaxy S25 Ultra, the AI companion that does the heavy lifting so you can do you. Get yours at Samsung.com. Compatible with select apps. Requires Google Gemini account. Results may vary based on input. Check responses for accuracy.
Okay, if jambalaya is hard, I think po' boys are pretty easy to nail. Like, you can't mess up a po' boy, right? It's a good sandwich, no matter what you put on it. Do you have a best po' boy that we can try out?
I think you're right. I think po' boys are a little like pizza. Even when they're bad, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
My personal favorite, like fried shrimp po' boy, is at Winnie's in Midtown. It's got that super casual atmosphere. It's as much a bar as a restaurant, but they do it right? They source Gulf shrimp. They get their bread imported from New Orleans. They fuss over all the little details, the way the lettuce is chopped, the sauce that they put on it. They get all those little things right. And of course, it helps that one of the owners, Graham Laborde, is a Louisiana boy. So he would never serve you a substandard po' boy.
Okay, I need to check them out. I haven't tried them out yet, so definitely on my list. But one thing that really irks me about po' boys, especially a shrimp po' boy, if you put small shrimp on it, I'm out. Like, I need big, juicy shrimp on there to really tie that sandwich together. Small ones, I'm just like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, you know what, Raheel? I have a great pic of the Winnie's po' boy on my Instagram. Not to plug my Instagram on your show, but I'll send you the photo. I think it will meet with your approval.
Awesome. Great content. You always recap what you've been eating all month, the 10 best things. So definitely check out his Instagram. Couple more for you here. I love desserts. I am a fiend for anything sweet. So when I'm thinking about Cajun food, I'm thinking about some great desserts like beignets. Maybe we're thinking king cake. I don't know what, but give me your best dessert to try when it comes to Cajun food.
All right. Now, you asked me about beignets, and so I'm going way off the board with this. I'm going fine dining. I am taking you to Perseid, which is the new restaurant in the Hotel St. Augustine in Montrose. But their beignets are incredible. They're light, airy, and they come with this like strawberry jam filling. Outside of driving to New Orleans, going to Café Du Monde, like this is as good as it gets.
Wow. You bring it up there with Café Du Monde?
They were incredible. I could not stop eating them.
Man.
We were full from dinner and we absolutely crushed them.
Okay. All right. That is like number one on my list now because I love a good beignet. Like that will change things up. And if I see it on the menu, I'm getting it. I don't finish all three. Usually it comes in threes, but I'm going to try it. And I need to get some beignets in my life because they are the best dessert. Like they're donuts elevated. They're everything you want in a dessert. And you can also just eat it as a snack, pre-workout snack. Why not? Go for it.
Yeah, get your carbs on. I know that Shipley is now doing them all over the city, and I have not.
Yeah.
I have not had a chance to try them, but I trust them with anything kind of fried dough related. So I bet, even though I haven't had them, I bet they're pretty good.
Yeah, it actually started at that Shipley's right there on Westheimer, right before the Beltway 8 if you're heading into town. And they've been doing them for years. Like I remember getting them in 2012, 2013, driving into work. And they do a great job with them. They are hot. They are fresh. That powdered sugar sticks perfectly. So, yeah, I'm glad they're rolling it out to more and more locations around town because, again, a good beignet, you can just eat anytime. Okay, Eric, we've gotten a lot of great recommendations from you. And now I want to get your best Cajun restaurant. Overall, the top dog. This is where I'm going for one meal. Where are we going?
All right. Again, I know that there is not one right answer, as there never is when we talk about restaurants like this. But for me, give me Josephine's Gulf Coast Tradition in Midtown. Lucas McKinney worked for Chris Shepard for a long time. He grew up in Mississippi. He worked at great restaurants there before he moved to Houston. And everything they do is so well done. Like their po' boys are great. Their boiled seafood is great. They're doing crawfish in season. Their baking program is great. Their pastry chef is super talented. You can get fish collars, you can get gumbo, you can get really anything you want. And so it's consistently excellent. It's open for lunch and dinner. And honestly, it's never as busy as I think that it should be for how good it is. So I'm going to keep talking about Josephine's until Houston finally listens to me and gives this restaurant the love it deserves.
It's funny, when I was doing research and talking to a few people about like, hey, where should we go for best Cajun restaurants? Josephine's came up multiple times. So I'm glad you brought them up. And yeah, it's relatively easy to get into. You're not going to wait that long. And I definitely want to try them out.
Yeah, it's just such a thoughtful restaurant in the breadth of its influences and the way that it kind of incorporates some Asian touches, because that is true to the modern Gulf Coast, but still respects all of the classic Cajun traditions. It's just a really great restaurant.
Eric, one last thing. I saw this on your socials, and I know it's that time. It's Tastemaker season, by the way. I can't wait. It's one of the best award shows of the year. Tell people about Culture Map Tastemakers Awards, because it is fantastic and it's such a fun night.
Oh, Raheel, I'm so glad you asked. Yes, April 3rd at Silver Street Studios will be the 2025 Culture Map Tastemaker Awards. This is where we honor all of the best in Houston dining. We give out awards for Chef of the Year, Restaurant of the Year, Bar of the Year, Bartender of the Year, Pastry Chef of the Year, Neighborhood Restaurant. One of the reasons that I mentioned Josephine's is that Lucas McKinney, the chef there, won Rising Star Chef of the Year last year in the Tastemaker Awards. So I know that was such a thrill for him. And I was, as someone who's followed his career for many years, I was so excited to see him earn that recognition.
And they were nominated as well for another category this year, right?
Yes, they are back this year for Pastry Chef of the Year for Emily Rivas. And what makes our awards a little bit different is that we ask people in the restaurant industry to vote. So it's a peer award that we sort of guide. And one of the things that makes it so fun is that it's that kind of mutual respect from people who are in the trenches with you every day. And also, a lot of the nominees, it's like one of their only chances to see each other when they're not like working, or when they're not like completely exhausted after working and hanging out at a bar somewhere. So we get a real who's who of the Houston culinary scene, and it adds to the atmosphere. And I think we'll have at least one of Houston's Michelin-starred restaurants there. Like, I think we're going to have a really great representation of what the best of Houston's food scene is.
Yeah, I don't think people understand how amazing this night is, because as you mentioned, there will be chefs cooking there. They are serving up their marquee dishes. So I'm pumped for it. It's going to be a great night. And just to see all those people there in one room, it's so much fun. And they're always making fun of each other, which is the best. They are just cracking jokes left and right.
Oh, yeah. That is the one hidden thing about the Houston food scene that I don't think people talk about enough, is how much camaraderie there is and how everybody roots for everybody else. You really feel that in the room at the Tastemaker Awards.
Eric, thank you so much for joining us. It's going to be great to go out and get some Cajun food and celebrate Mardi Gras season. Eric, I appreciate it, man.
Thanks so much for having me.
That was Culture Map's editor, Eric Sandler. Check out his work and all the restaurants we talked about in our show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a rating and review wherever you're listening, and share this episode with your favorite group chat so you can plan an IRL meeting and enjoy some great Cajun food. Here's something else. Did you know we have a daily newsletter called Hey Houston? Yep, we do. And you'll get even more recommendations, news, and moments of joy. So please subscribe today at houston.citycast.fm. And guess what? It's time to dust off those cowboy boots, because Rodeo Week on CityCast Houston starts Monday. So definitely subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. You don't want to miss it. That will do it for today. I'm Raheel Ramzan Ali. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something new.